Given that inflation is a worldwide problem, what legislation would you sponsor to support to help local consumers?
Well, that's a great question. One of the first bills that I sponsored during the legislative session was a bill to temporarily suspend the state gas tax. We had a $16 billion budget surplus. This would have been a way to save consumers about 50 cents per gallon of gas for the rest of the year. And the majority party said no, even though the Wharton School of Finance has done studies to say that this is a successful approach, even though other states have been able to do this approach successfully and give tax relief to those who need it most. In fact, in this very form 2 years ago, Representative Shewmake advocated for a 1% decrease in the sales tax until the rest of the year. That was actually something that those in my caucus supported and something the majority party said no to. So the fact of the matter is that we do need tax relief, and we do need to provide it to consumers. We need to support our small businesses. And that's why more and more regulations that make it harder for people to find a job. That's why regulations that impose burdens on businesses end up pricing people not just out of their homes, but from this county itself. So I think we need new approaches that make it easier for businesses, easier for workers, and easier for employers. We have a huge workforce shortage crisis as well in Whatcom County and across Washington state. And so we need to find new pathways to encourage a new workforce approach. But what isn't going to work are more taxes. The fact of the matter is that 22 new taxes have been passed since Sharon Shewmake was elected in 2018. That approach is not good for the people of Whatcom County. That's why we need tax relief and we need affordability in Washington state.
Okay, Sharon, I'll repeat the question. Given that inflation is a worldwide problem, what legislation would you sponsor or support to help local consumers?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you to Senator Sefzik for pointing out that I do support a 1% decrease in sales tax. One of the things that I'd like to see is a changing of the way that we decide to tax people. The way when we rely on sales tax and property taxes, it ends up falling predominantly on working people. And so of those 22 taxes, I probably voted against a lot of them, but some of the ones that I did vote for were ones that cut taxes on working people and raised them on the very wealthy. An example of something that was in a mailer was I cut taxes on people selling homes that are less than 1.5 million, and we raised it for those selling more than 1.5 million, and that threshold changes over time. So we do have money for schools, we do have money for social services. That's really, really important to having a functioning modern economy, is making sure that we're taking care of one another, that we're providing affordable housing for those who wouldn't be able to afford it, but also looking at private sector solutions. Generally, you have to look at, when we look at inflation, we have to look at the causes. So some of those are grander macroeconomic things, such as the war in Ukraine, causing an increase in the price of energy. Some of the other pieces are supply chain hiccups, and there's definitely some work that we can do on that. We have a supply chain caucus that has been examining this. I'm one of the members of it. And one of the things we did last session was figuring out ways that we can help out some of the truck drivers with things like providing access to restrooms, safe places for them to sleep at night and hold their rigs, and looking at ways that we can get more people with those commercial driver's license so they can do this work and we don't see that the prices are quite as high.